In this section, we're going to look at another way to find our x and y intercepts. So starting off with our x-intercept, since the x-intercept is an ordered pair, x, 0, we will substitute a 0 in for our y, a 0 in the place of our y, in our equation. So, for example, if we have this equation, 2x minus 4y equals 8, and we want to know where this equation crosses our x-axis, we can find our x-intercept by plugging in a 0 for y. So if we do that, we get 2x minus 4 times 0 equals 8. 4 times 0 is 0. So we're left with 2x equals 8. Divide both sides by 2. We get x equals 4. So this means that our x-intercept is 4, 0. We plug in that x right here. Okay, and we can do the same thing for our y. So since our y-intercept is the ordered pair 0, y, it's not going anywhere in the x direction, that's why it's 0. It stays on the y-axis. We will substitute a 0 in the place of x in our equation. So if we still have that same equation, 2x minus 4y equals 8, but this time we want to know where does that line cross the y-axis. We can plug in a 0 for our x, and solve for y. So 2 times 0 is 0. That leaves us with negative 4y equals 8. Divide by negative 4. And we get y equals negative 2. So this means that our y-intercept is 0, negative 2. Okay, so let's look at a few more examples. Find the x and y intercept of the given equations. So I'm going to divide this into two parts. We want to find the x-intercept and the y-intercept. If we have our x-intercept on this side, y-intercept on this side, our x-intercept is x, 0, and our y is 0, y. So this means for my x-intercept, I got to plug in a 0 for y, so that gives me 4 times 0 is 0, so that leaves me with just x equals 7. So that means my x-intercept is 7, 0. My y-intercept, I'm plugging in a 0 for x this time, so I get 0 plus 4y equals 7. 4y equals 7. Need to divide both sides by 4. And I get y equals 7/4. That makes my y-intercept 0, 7/4. Those are my two answers. Okay, let's try the next one. If we have x and y. And I always like to put my points right below so I don't get confused which one's 0 and which one's my variable. So I plug in a 0 for y this time. I get 3x minus 3 times 0 3 times 0 is 0. 3x equals negative 15. Divide both sides by 3. X equals negative 5. So that gives me my point, negative 5, 0. Now for my y-intercept, this time I'm plugging 0 in for x. Three times 0 is 0. I still have negative 3y. Don't forget that negative sign out front. Now I have a negative 3 times y. The opposite of multiplication is division. Divide by negative 3 on both sides. Get y equals 5. So that makes my final point 0, 5. Okay, and we got 2 more here, so let's look at this one. We have x-intercept is x comma 0. Y-intercept is 0 comma y. Okay, we plug in 0 for my y. X minus 0 equals 3, which just gives me x equals 3. So my point is 3 comma 0. This is my x-intercept point. For y, I'm plugging in x equals 0, so I get 0 minus y equals 3. This time I get minus y, so don't forget that negative sign out front. Minus y equals 3. I need to get rid of that negative sign. So there's really a negative 1 out front of that y. To get rid of a negative 1 times y, I can divide by negative 1. My negatives cancel. I'm left with y equals negative 3. My final point is 0, negative 3. Okay, our last one over here is a little bit trickier because there is no y. I only have one variable, and that is x. So when I solve this equation for x, I'm going to do that now. To get rid of this 3 by the x, if I divide by 3 on both sides, I get x equals negative 4. So this equation here simplifies to x equals negative 4. This means that this equation only has an x-intercept, and my x-intercept is 4, 0. There is no y-intercept because there is no y. So this is my only answer here. If there was just a y in my equation, that means I would have no x-intercept and I would only have a y-intercept.